Hi there, I'm Dani Henderson. Welcome back to my Disclosure of Everything channel. My guests today are speaking at the next Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, the great Hugh Newman and the amazing JJ Ainsworth. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Hello, we're good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Yes, so good. It's so good to see you. We've had such a challenge getting on together to introduce you to the audience that will be coming to see you and those that just are interested in what you guys do. You've been traveling around the world at many megalithic, amazing structures. So, Hugh, I'm going to come to you. Tell us where you've been, what you've been doing, and what kind of discoveries have you found of late?
Well, we just got back from Mexico. Spent about 4.5 weeks exploring the Olmec land, which is like the pre-Maya civilization, the megalithic civilization of that part of the world. On an epic journey. Lots to share about that. But these are some civilization we've been studying for years. Me and JJ are kind of obsessed by them. But also we've been working on Southeast Turkey specifically, along with Andrew Collins and others, and really focused on what's coming out of the ground there since our discovery of the winter solstice alignment there, which is really frustrated and annoyed all the archaeologists. But we're kind of, making discoveries out there. And yeah, it's a fascinating world to be exploring right now because there's literally stuff coming out of the ground. And in Southeast Turkey, we're talking nearly 12,000 years old, which really shouldn't exist according to the traditional timeline of history.
That's beautiful. JJ, one of your areas of expertise is that of symbologist. Can you give us some information on what that actually means and some of the work that you've brought forward from Karahan Tepe?
Well, I study symbols, as you said, but it's a very important part of research into ancient history because writing itself didn't exist until cuneiform, like 6,000, 5,000 years ago. So symbolism is important because it displays the ideas of the ancient people. And at Karahan Tepe, their form of writing was in symbols. And I think I'm starting to piece together some more information. Of course, I need help from other people because one person can't, decipher everything. But they were telling a story, and eventually one day I hope we can figure out what that actually was. There's so many ideas out there, and as many people as there are ideas. But hopefully we can decipher a bit of it and learn.
I can see on your bookshelf in the background there, you've got one of the T-shaped structures. And I came to your, well, I was joking, but it's actually true. I actually stalked both of you. I so badly wanted you to speak at this year's GISIC in England, our first British Galactic Spiritual Informers ever. And I know that you're so well known in Britain, you're so adored around the world, and your company, Megalithomania, really has amazing legs on it. And so I got a ticket to your conference, but by then we'd already connected, which was great. I didn't have to bundle anyone on stage and say, please, Jessic, we need you. Yeah, so the T structure there, you did a beautiful presentation at your conference, and you were talking about the fact that on the sides it has arms. Can you explain a bit more? Because I'm making a terrible job of it, but tell us, because that was so exciting.
Yeah, yeah, I could jump in there. Yeah, because on the T-shaped pillars, which are like 18 feet tall, the tallest ones, there's multiple enclosures with these central twin T pillars in the middle. They're anthropomorphic, so they've got like a kind of body, an abstract body with a belt, with a pelt coming off the belt and arms coming down the side, and an abstract rectangular head. That's very odd. I mean, it's like a piece of art. It's like modern art in a way. It's very odd, very beautifully carved. I mean, the idea that whoever came up with that same principle, that same design, echoed for nearly 1,500 years throughout the whole region. At all the other sites, they copied the same design. So it was almost like this genius level kind of creators built this site out of nothing. It was like it shouldn't have happened, but it was just at the end of the last ice age. It was hunter-gatherers. This was people coming out of caves. This was like people who weren't supposed to be sophisticated. But weirdly, at the time it coincided the end of the Younger Dryas, the end of the Ice Age, but also this is like traditionally Atlantean times, the fall of Atlantis. So, the A word is quite controversial to a lot of people, but actually there's it's like a big mystery. This is what people like Graham Hancock and Andrew talk about, that there may have been a civilization before this, during the Ice Age, and who were they? And if not, where did these people who built Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe even come from? The fact that they're representing themselves or they're representing their gods at these sites in such a profound, artistic, abstract way does suggest that these were highly advanced individuals.
Absolutely. JJ, what is out of the two temple sites, Göbekli and Karahan, what is your favorite, if indeed you have one, and why?
Oh, I don't have a favorite. I love them both. At first, we thought they were unique temples. Actually, Karahan Tepe so far is unique because it has that giant face and the AB pit. But there are several more sites, just like with the T-pillars, across the Taj Tepler region. But I really, really love them both. Gobekli Tepe, I think, is important to me because of the symbolism and the realization of their ancient stories and myths may have come from people in Siberia that sort of came down because we find the same sort of symbolism echoed in North America from the Native Americans. And I try to go through on my lectures to show a little bit of that information. But I think our history runs deep and we are all the same people when we go as far back, as we can. And it's just quite amazing. But yeah, I love both sides. I love all of the Taj Templar sites because they're such a mystery still for all of us.
Mhm. Can you explain why they're called Tepe for people that don't know?
Tepe means basically it means kind of like a hill, like a tell or a hill. And also Tastepla, which is that they put the name of this kind of whole culture or civilization, or we actually call it a super civilization. That's what we believe, it's highly advanced. More's going to be discovered. But Tastepla, which is the name that they're given to it, is kind of means stone hills or stony hills, but it's not just that. It's like these are the sacred hills, these are the sacred tells, these are the sacred tepes of the ancients. This is where they built, they lived, they performed ceremony, a ritual, and they chose these locations very specifically. It's part of a network of sites across that region, which stretches for about 130 miles wide, and they're all connected geometrically, geomantically, all aligned astronomically as well, proving that these were outrageously advanced people who constructed and initiated this super civilization.
Yes, Tel and tepes are sometimes artificial. So artificial mounds that had building up of the sites, kind of like at Karahan Tepe, there was a natural hill there, but the people added to it. So we see these dotted across the landscape in Turkey, and a lot of the tells or the mounds haven't even been excavated yet. So there's still a lot of exciting discoveries to be made in that area.
Mhm. Yeah, we were told there's a whole host of acres potentially of olive trees planted directly over unexcavated, and a few dimwits from who knows where heralded that it couldn't be this generation, but we'd let next generation uncover it. Well, no one's got the right to do that anyway, but can you confirm, because you physically both been there, are these areas indeed covered up with olive trees and such other?
Yeah, Göbekli Tepe, yeah, for sure. There's a whole, I mean, it's basically an olive grove all across the site. In fact, the largest structure which they found with by GPR scanning is directly covered over with olive trees. Now, this is something that our friend Jimmy Corsetti's been putting out there. I talked to him about this before he kind of pu published all his stuff on it, and they're there. I mean, we've got footage of them. They're there, but and they do damage the archaeology. This is like been proven. Some people say they don't, others say they do. But Neshmi Corral, the head archaeologist there, has now announced publicly in the press that they're going to remove some of these olive trees to continue excavation underneath them, as though he kind of got pressured into it. But we don't know. That may have been the plan anyway. But thankfully, you got people like Jimmy who are putting this information out there. They're pressuring the archaeologists to sort of do the right thing. And yeah, we're kind of in the same boat. We're not archaeologists. We're just independent researchers. We kind of go out there and do our own thing. And you have to kind of, make these points because otherwise it can just be overlooked because they're focused on other things. So yeah, it's good that stuff's actually happening about that now.
It's amazing.
Well,
Go ahead.
absolutely, the olive trees should be removed because the roots and things like that can absolutely damage the site. So I think the removal is a good thing.
One of the things about it, this is the true story of it, is that it wasn't the archaeologist who planted them. It was actually the family of the site planted them there
Yeah.
because it increases the value of the land.
Hmm.
And because they're being kind of pushed off their land, they had to move elsewhere. They got paid for it, obviously, but they placed them there partly to like say, hey, this is still our land, and we want to kind of, improve the kind of value of it. And this kind of way it was done apparently. And so it was a kind of unaware initiation of planting them that kind of started to cause all these problems. But thankfully, they've agreed to let some of them be removed so they can start excavating underneath them.
That's excellent news. Now, over the years, we've come to understand and see people like Graham Hancock abused by what I call academic snobbery. The ones with the right degrees, the architects, the explorers. I have no time for the nonsense because it's people like him and people like you, Hugh Newman, J.J. Ainsworth, Andrew Collins, another friend, Jim Vieira, Praveen Mohan, who we all know, people like you guys who basically push things further along. You're not waiting, you're not sitting. This is basically your life, isn't it, both of you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of pushback. I mean, I've had it since, especially when me and Jim wrote our two Giants books. We really got harassed and attacked. We had a TV show on it as well, which brought all these academics, skeptics out of the woodwork. We found it all very amusing. We don't care. We've got nothing to hide. If we make mistakes, we'll admit it. We don't really care. But yeah, there's a lot. It's kind of ridiculous that these attacks that alternative researchers get. We're what you would call, if it was 120, 130 years ago, we'd be called antiquarians before there was archaeologists. We dedicate our life. We have a passion for it. We give up everything. We spend all our money, anything we have, to explore these sites and document these sites. So we've got a true passion for it. We don't. It's not like we have the academic realm to deal with, where we have to kind of, only say certain things or we have to sort of not say other things. So we can kind of do what we want. And that's frustrating, I think, for the archaeologists because they do all the hard work. Admittedly, they do the scans, they do the GPR, they do the digging, they do the planning, they do the preservation. And so they do a huge amount of incredible work, which and we wouldn't see any of these sites in reality if it wasn't for them. So there has to be credit given, obviously. But when it comes down to interpretation, that's where it gets sticky because archaeologists, in a general sense, they haven't studied mythology or astronomy or symbolism or geomancy or things like this. They don't have all the background that other people, alternative people, can come in and discuss. And so when it comes down to interpretation, that is where it should be a free for all and it should be open, for discussion.
Well, I mean, especially when it comes to cosmological aspects. I won't say his name, but everybody knows it. One of the directors of the Taj Templar sites, I mentioned to him about the possibility of alignments and things to do with the sky. And he very sharply said, "We look at the ground, we don't look at the sky." And I just thought, well, that kind of sums it up for now anyway.
Yeah, because there's a big thing about roofs once originally existing at the sites, although there's zero evidence for them. And this is what the archaeologists say, even though there's no evidence for it. So this is where that they're talking, like pseudo archaeologists that we're being accused of. They're actually saying that because they're claiming things were there, which then disputes what we've been saying all along, that this is an astronomically aligned site. They were observing the stars and the sun and the moon. And so that frustrates me that they can make up anything they want, but with very little or zero evidence. But we can't. We can't just speculate and discuss based on our knowledge.
I mean,
Mm.
even if you look at some of well, for example, at Gobekli Tepe Enclosure D, if you look at the two twin pillars, it's obvious they were studying the sky because carved on one of the pillars is actually the sun and the moon there on the pillar. So of course, that's what they were doing. They were observing and studying the sky, the night sky in particular. So it's common sense, and I don't know why it's not recognized more thoroughly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in lots of different, let's say, environments of academic snobbery, there are certain levels and layers of people who, no matter what the subject, oh, it's Joseph's turn. Oh no, we don't call him Joseph anymore. Julie is Julie now, It's just those kinds of things that we all have to deal with, the stupidity. But you two, you're like these gung-ho rebels, incredibly polite, incredibly respectful, and work so hard and so diligently. And I mean, you were in Malta earlier this year, weren't you? I know that because I was going to come on your trip. And tell us about Malta. There's so many exciting things to say. We better be careful though, so we're not here for 6 weeks. But tell us a bit about Malta, please.
Yeah, well, Malta, I've been going to Malta since I was a kid because I kind of got extended family over there. So I've always had fascination with the place. But yeah, this is seriously megalithic, super ancient, not as old as Göbekli Tepe, but we're talking 4,000 BC in some cases, 6,000 years old. Underground, beautifully carved chambers, astronomically aligned temples, not dissimilar to Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. And it is just one of the remarkable megalithic islands that we find. And it's some of the oldest, largest megalithic structures on the planet. And so, yeah, we go back every March, every spring equinox. We take a tour group out there. We're going back this year. And Jim came out last year with us. We have guests joining us because it's just one of these places that everybody has to see.
Yeah, and you love it too, don't you, JJ?
Oh, yes, it's absolutely beautiful. We'll be going out there in a few weeks, and for us, it's an easy tour to do. But we learn so much each time we go. Like Hugh said, there's astronomical alignments. Some of the symbolism is actually the same that we find in particular, Gobekli Tepe. Some of the important symbols we find there. So I have no doubt that part of the descendants from the Taj Templar sites made their way down to Malta because distinct symbolisms, this distinct way that they carved. I just see it. It's there. There is no doubt about that. But yeah, Malta is lovely. It's easy. It's breezy. It's one of my favorite places to go to.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. And you've made a really good point there for everybody watching. It's like when you see different sites, you do notice things, patterns, similarities, and it's so exciting when you start putting it all together and you didn't get it in a book or you didn't watch it on a documentary. You came up with that because you, in essence, were the one to observe that and create that into something that you could then share. I remember being at the entrance in the Valley of the Kings, going into one of the tombs, and the ceiling is the beautiful blue with the golden stars, and then going into Glastonbury Church, the Glastonbury Church in the High Street, and seeing something very similar, and then it's like, wow, because I'd been to Egypt and I was here, it's like, oh my gosh, there's this continuation of symbols, symbology, colors, images used across everything that we've ever come to observe. Now, I'm so excited about our Galactic Spiritual Informers connection and that you two will be there. And it's so interesting because, again, how we all find and meet each other is mind-blowing but beautiful. So I'd already was madly obsessing over Praveen Mohan, and I was thinking, there's not a chance in hell I'm going to get him, or you. Like I said, I had to physically stalk you because we're in the same country, so that was a bit easier. But Praveen, I'm like, there's no way. Anyway, I was thinking one day, do you know, I've got to, let me see what Pravi's up to. Let me figure out how I can like connect to him, contact him. Well, I turned on his video and there's bloody Hugh Newman. I'm like, oh my God. Other, yeah, hanging out in India, going into temples. I'm like, wow, it was amazing to see that. And I was so delighted. And I actually got hold of him without having to have any help from anybody else. And he's coming on in a couple of weeks to do a little chat like this. And I'm so excited for people to see him and his work. I mean, he's exposing the ancient technology in the Hindu temples. Hugh, when you were out there on that last tour with him, what was one of the most exciting things that you saw together?
Well, we went out, yeah, we went out for a couple of days exploring down south of Chennai, the Tamil Nadu area. Went to a couple of temples, and we specifically went to ones he hadn't been to before. That was so it was kind of exciting for him as well. And but these were just carved out of solid granite bedrock, these perfect square cut caves. And it was just outrageous. And one of the ones we went to, I forget the name of it escapes me. It was a very long Indian name is supposed to be the oldest, one of the oldest in the country. But one of the ones I also went to after I departed from exploring with Praveen was the Barabar Caves up in the northeast area, and that blew my mind because these are like granite polished caves, outrageous high level of technology, and they're supposed to be extremely ancient as well. So there's a lot going on out there. I mean, just spending 3 weeks out there completely stunned me. We're planning to go out there again, much more detail. I mean, you could go there every year for a couple of months, and it would take you your lifetime to explore all the temples because there's so many. Some of them are so remarkable. And yeah, to have Praveen at the conference is going to be a delight. He's an absolute gem. He came to Stonehenge and Avebury. We've explored other places together. We've become quite good friends. I interviewed him as well for the Megalithomania channel. So yeah, it's going to be good having Praveen at the event for sure.
Oh, going to be so lovely. And he and I are hoping to do a little explore of Roslin Chapel in Scotland because that's another fascinating multi-layers, multi-centuries of, iconic symbology and structures. You mentioned your company, Megalithomania. Might you want to open your shirt and show us your t-shirt, sir?
Oh, this is just the Karahan Tepe t-shirt. Yeah, yeah. This is one of the ones we produce from a scan I made of the site. But yeah, yeah, Megalithomania. Yeah, we as you know, we run the conference. We're having a year off this year, so we run it every May, apart from this year. And the Origins conference, we do that with Andrew in November as well, early November, late October. And yeah, and as you know, we meet up with people like Praveen. We go to different countries. We run tours to numerous places, and yeah, we're busy. We just got back from a month-long exploration of Mexico, specifically focused on the Olmec culture, something we've both been studying for a very long time. But a few new discoveries have come out of the woodwork. There's a few new artifacts on display. There's rumblings of a whole shift taking place out there about where the Olmecs came from, who they really were. There's some new DNA stuff that's been revealed as well. So yeah, so there's a lot going on. I mean, everywhere you look, you're finding new challenges, new discoveries, and the rewriting of history is taking place as we speak.
Yes, yes, that's so important, isn't it, JJ?
Yeah. I love exploring Olmec land always, but we kind of have to go into some areas that are mm,
Cartel territory, basically. Yeah.
yes, yes. So it is kind of like the wild, wild west. I think I messaged you about some of the things that we saw, which is very shocking. So although we really love the area, it can be quite tricky. But so if you decide to go yourself or
It
somebody,
makes it more exciting.
it
Let's just put it like that. When you're dealing with like cartel wars going on just around the corner. But yeah, so you just when you go to places like that, we won't you go to anywhere where there or tours. We won't take anyone to anywhere where there's anything dodgy, obviously.
yeah.
But when we go on our own exploring, we'll go to these places and we'll kind of be very careful. And we kind of learn how to travel in dangerous places. So kind of we've got a knack for it now.
Yeah, we've had a few mishaps. We've been chased by a shirtless man bearing a machete, things like that.
My
Almost
goodness.
got kidnapped once, James and I did. We saw some in a particular city in Olmec land. We saw some well-known um, you know, cartel people, just in the hotel, kind of. And so, yes, it's kind of interesting and it can be a bit scary, but remember that, when you're a foreigner and you're traveling in these lands, they don't really care. They just ignore you. You're there for a purpose. So you're not there to interfere with any business they're involved with, thankfully.
But
Yeah,
always be careful and be aware of your surroundings if you do go to these areas. It's important, so
absolutely.
safety wise.
Jim Vieira, I've had him on this channel a couple of times too. Great guy. And I know you guys wrote a book on the giants together. And him and his, well, let's just say handsome Jim and his handsome brother. Hello. Which tour are they going on with you so people can know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, just Jim. I'm not sure about the handsome, but yeah, Jim is going to be coming with us. It's Hellboy, it looks more like, but he's going to be coming with us on the England tour we're doing in July. He's coming over. We're going to be doing a bit of we've got a little bit of research we're going to be doing. I'm helping him lay out his new book, and yeah, he's coming on that. We're going to focus on obviously the megalithic stuff, his stonemason, but also the giant stuff because this whole area in southern England, there's dozens of accounts of really interesting giant accounts we're going to kind of look at, we're going to share, we're going to go to the locations if people are interested in that. And there's even a giant on display, a paper mache one, mind you, but that's been around in Salisbury since the 1400s. That's been paraded around as St. Christopher, who was also known as a Canaanite giant. And so there's strange, weird connections with the myths, the discoveries, and what's been dug up out of the ground in this part of the world. So yeah, Jim, we're going to be doing a little tour of a little focus on the giants, but really we want to, explore these proper megalithic sites we find in this part of the world.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. One of the reasons that I'm so excited to have Hugh, with this vast ocean of knowledge that you have and the current ongoing studies that you're revealing and the book you guys are working on for Karahan and Gobekli Tepe, but your information that I found you first regarding the giants, that to me, because my focus for the G6 this year is to land all the root origins, the roots of everything, and then blend them all in together, but we can shove it in everyone's face in the best way possible. Like, this is the missing piece for this. Here's the legend that can be physically proven here. So that's really what a massive part of my focus is. Now, I've also had Andrew Collins on my channel a couple of times. Like his book, the first pharaoh, Sebek Neferu. And there was another, I think, the last book too. Fascinating fella. Eccentric, eccentric. I hung out with him a bit at your conference, Origins, just again to let people know. I mean, they can look on your Megalithomania website, which I'll put details for, but also, to see Andrew Collins, they can go to the Origins conference that you three create together this coming November 2025. So that'd be nice too. But I guess he's quite fun to work with and explore with, isn't he?
Oh, Andrew's an absolute diamond. Yeah, he's really a mentor to me. He's become a really good friend, but he's kind of been doing this since forever, since the 1980s. He's been putting books out, and he just comes up with a lot of stuff first and he doesn't really get recognized for it in some cases, which is frustrating because to me he's a pioneer. He's also extremely knowledgeable and we do regular trips to Turkey and other places with him because he knows everything. I mean, he's been doing stuff in Turkey and predicting stuff was going to be discovered there back in the mid 1990s before Göbekli Tepe was even discovered. So yeah, working with Andrew is always fun and we hugely appreciate him.
Ah, that's so great. That's so great. JJ, who else do you admire I call that your field research archaeology because of the academic snobbery, because you really are research archaeologists, aren't you? But who else do you admire in the field?
Well, I have a woman that I highly admire. She's passed away now, but her name was Maria Gambutis, and she was a Lithuanian archaeologist that made so many amazing discoveries. And I don't think she's gotten the credit that she deserves. Um, in the past, some of our colleagues have demeaned her and said that her ideas were wrong, but now they've had to come around and say that actually she was right. So she has many great books out there that people don't realize, but her name is Maria Gimbutas. And if you're interested in ancient symbology, ancient history, she is one person to look at to get her books. And it's her name is spelled Marija Gimbutas, and she was an absolute pioneer. She is amazing, and hopefully her work gets the credit that's due to it eventually.
Oh, that's lovely. It's beautiful to really, again, remember people from the past who trod the path that you're on, and give them, rightful honor. And it's so, I think about Copernicus and Galileo, and how the suffering happened there, and that, a certain person was right, after all, So, Hugh, who, in your opinion, would you also say is a person of admiration, apart from Andrew and the people that we've mentioned?
Yeah, John Michel, he's my kind of hero really. He was doing stuff since the late 60s. He founded Megalithomania with us really in 2006. He kind of gave us permission to use the name because he's got a book called Megalithomania from 1982. And he was just like this Earth Mysteries kind of genius, kind of real savant, and just published dozens of books on the ancient mysteries, but also on geometry and sacred number and geomancy and things like this. Something that I really got taken to my heart. He died in 2009, but yeah, Hugh, all of us look up to him. He's like one of the kind of real kind of pioneers in this entire field.
Wow, wow. I'd like you to settle something for me because you live quite close to Stonehenge area. I was told that the reason why people are made to walk around in a giant circle and not actually go near the stones is because the ground directly around the stones is disintegrating. Is this true or not?
I don't know about that. I mean, it's just mud and grass, really. It's not like anything sinister going on there, I don't think. I
Oh,
think they
sorry
just
for the... Yeah.
they charge people. They charge people to go on private visits. So English Heritage make a good little kind of bit of money out of the early morning and evening private visits. So I think that's why they do it. So people will go there, come from all over the world, realize they can't get anywhere near the stones, then they'll pay for a private visit, next time they come. So no, I think it's fine. I don't think there's no problem there. The main concern is just that it being out in the elements because it's going to, the elements of Britain are going to kind of wear down the stones eventually until they're just like stubs sticking out the ground. So hopefully, they'll do something to protect them.
Not to mention that the stones are directly next to the major highway, the A303. So that traffic goes right beside it with all of the, combustible engines and everything. And that area actually, there's a lot of wrecks there because people are distracted by seeing the stones.
Oh, yeah. I was
But
there
I
last
haven't,
week.
yeah, it's quite a, we have a lot of incidents that happen here, sadly, that
S-
yeah.
The Stonehenge effect. Yeah, yeah. It's like everyone slows down to salute the National Temple, and it's so this sometimes what happens. Yeah.
Mhm. As you go past, if you look in, I mean, I'm new to and are experts on this area, but we see them, same as Avery, there's inner circles and they come out and out and out, and not many people talk about them. Tell us about the mounds, the burial mounds, the green mounds all the way around there. What are these in your opinion and
Well,
knowledge?
there's over 100 burial mounds in the immediate area. On the pretty much, if you're standing in Stonehenge, there's some right near Stonehenge, but they're generally on the kind of horizon around. It's pretty flat horizon, this whole area, even though Stonehenge is on a slope. We've got some right next to our house, and we have major paranormal activity in our house because of it, we think. But yeah, they're mostly known burial mounds. They were built after Stonehenge, but the placement of them is really interesting because many of them are geometrically kind of placed across the landscape in some kind of grid pattern. So yeah, so that's pretty odd. In fact, the ones near our house, they're called the New King Mounds. They've never been excavated. They're the only ones that have never been excavated. So I'm convinced a giant is going to be found in one of them, and that's who's haunting our house.
Oh,
Whenever he says that
love
the
that.
mounds are close to us, we have actually our driveway. If you go a foot to the left when we pull in, a mound is right there. Like it's right next to our driveway. So that's how close we are to the mounds. And, if we walk just a few feet from our yard, you can see Stonehenge. But yeah, we do have a lot of sort of unexplainable and sometimes annoying activity that occurs here, um, which I could do without. But
Well,
it
I
does happen nonetheless, whether I like it or not.
I should do a paranormal investigation for you because that's one of my areas of full expertise. So I should come in and clear out, and then I can link into what's there, and then let you know. But it's just absolutely fascinating subjects, and I think it's so a testament to the authenticity of the two of you, living where you live, looking at what you look at, doing what you do pretty much every month. You are always bloody traveling. Always traveling. You've got to have worked out by now the quickest, the easiest, the best, the tricks. There's a whole book right there, right? Different area that the whole world could so use, couldn't they?
Yeah, yeah, traveling's a thing. Yeah, I mean, we get itchy feet, man. We need to get out and explore. We can't just sit around. I mean, when we're here, we work. We crack on with writing and editing videos, preparing the next tours and events and things like that. But I think traveling's a hugely important part of the human kind of makeup. I mean, in this current era, we have this opportunity. We can go anywhere in the world, get on a plane, we can do this, we can rent a car, you can do anything you want, go anywhere on the planet. And this is like only been available for a few decades in the entirety of human history. And so the opportunity to see the world is here right now. So I think it's very important to get. And when it comes to these ancient sites, actually going to them yourself and actually seeing things as it is and how the ancients were creating it, it gives you a completely different perspective from being an armchair or internet kind of researcher. It really helps us kind of put things together, understand the culture, the landscape, the influence this has on people even today. And I think that's super important that people make that little bit of effort and go exploring. And this is one of the reasons we set up the tours actually, because we were pushed to do it. We didn't really want to do it, but we were pushed to do it because people kept saying, "Can you take us to all these sites you explore, please? We'd like to actually you to show us, because you've been there multiple times. You know all the little kind of little secret places and where the cool energy spots are and things like that." And yeah, so we now do that as a kind of, it helps fund our research, it helps fund our traveling actually. So it enables us to do what we want to do around the world.
Also, I think some people think it's more difficult than it is, and I encourage everybody, if they can, if they have the time, it's not as expensive as it seems. You can get really good deals on flights, on places to stay. It isn't that hard. If you have the time, the energy, I highly advise you to go and travel. It will give you a whole different perspective on everything. Visiting and getting this, the energy from the sites, it changes you, and it changes you for the better, basically.
That's so beautiful. At the conference, Galactic Spiritual Informers, on May the 10th and 11th, that you are both speaking on May the 10th, and then you're jumping on a plane the next day to Turkey. But I'm so happy and honored and grateful that you guys are making the time to be with us on May the 10th. And I know that you're going to be sharing some of the yet undisclosed findings at the Gobekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. We will be discussing some of the giant work that you've done, Hugh in particular, and you bring in the symbology of Karahan Tepe. I've seen your beautiful presentation. And is there anything else that I've missed out that you two will be bringing to our GC Galactic Informers Conference?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna we'll be making a few discoveries. This is John Michelle kind of vibe. This is, but I'll be making a few discoveries with the sacred number, the geometry and the landscape, and the fact that there's a high chance that they were measuring the Earth in antiquity, and this is echoed in the measurement systems of Gobekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. Now, people may not really understand what that's all about, but when you think about like these cathedrals that are made with a specific geometry and number designed in them to have an influence on your consciousness and your soul, these sites were the first places this was being done, and it was done in a profound, articulate, and highly advanced manner, which makes you question how did they come up with this? How on earth could they come up with this? And we think we know how they did it and why they did it. That's what we'll be getting into at the conference.
That's amazing. Wow. JJ, any final comments that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Um, I just hope to see you guys attend the conference, and I'd like to thank you for inviting us, and we're really excited about attending. And sorry that it took so long for us to really connect with you, but traveling in Mexico, the internet and all of that is
Oh,
so difficult. It's very spotty. Yeah, but I'm so glad that we were able to finally do it. So thank you for being patient with us.
oh, of course, of course. You're both so worth the wait. You really are. Like I have the joy and the honor every year of finding the right speakers with the right subjects. And again, I'm so grateful that you said yes. And you have a massive, massive following already on your YouTube channel. We invite people to go over there. Can you give us the details, Hugh, and your website, please?
Sure, yeah, you can just search for megalithomania.co.uk is the website, or Megalithomania UK is the YouTube channel. They can find me, Hugh Newman, pretty much online, anywhere. And JJ Ainsworth, of course, also known as Megalithic Maiden on the YouTube. And yeah, we've got a ton of stuff out there. We've got a bunch of articles, um, ton of videos. I've got like 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel. New one going up tonight from Mexico. And yeah, please connect with us. And we look forward to meeting you all at the conference in May.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Hugh Newman, JJ Ainsworth, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate you. And to you guys out there watching, told ya. I told you we were doing JJ Ainsworth and Hugh Newman. I'm so thrilled. So go ahead, look at their Megalithomania website, everything they do, and look forward to seeing them on May 10th and 11th in Eastbourne, East Sussex. My name is Dani Henderson. I send you love from my heart to yours, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.